up, I feel that second wind. We're gonna be alright, we're gonna be alright.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Measures of Hope. I'm back with Trish. She's one of my favorite people. I have lots of favorites.
I understand.
I have lots of favorites. Hopefully you'll meet a lot of them. Favorite people here I've met at Cornerstone.
And she's one of my favorites as well. And
you.
beautiful.
Oh, thank
Amazing.
you. Oh,
yes.
So sweet. But I've just been astounded by her story. I forgot. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us in the yellow chairs here in Scobie Hall. I love this place. It's so pretty and nice. It's one of my favorite places to film these, and I'm just so thankful to Cornerstone for not only being an amazing church, but having such an amazing facility and letting me film these here. And yes, it's beautiful. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. We're on a group me with some of our members, and today the feed just was blown up with so many people sharing
so much love,
how much this church has meant to them and how much they've grown and how connected they feel. It's just beautiful. So if you're in the Memphis area and you're looking for a church, you are welcome to come to Cornerstone. We are at the corner of Elmore and
Kirby Whitten.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Woo. Or Whitten, actually, I think.
Yeah. It's Whitten and Elmore. So yes. Anyway, it's awesome. You're more than welcome. Check us out at cornerstonechurch.net.
.net.
Yes. Okay. Trish is going to share her story. She has an amazing story. I've always been impressed, and the more that I've gotten to know you, the more amazed I am at what God's done in your life.
Amen.
And I feel like you have such a powerful story that so many people can relate to. And I couldn't wait to have you on so you could share it with our viewers. So,
my name is Patricia Wade. I'm a great believer in Jesus Christ, victory over addiction, and the life that came with it. I went through some stuff. We all go through stuff. I had a little trauma early in life. I don't remember much of my childhood. At the age of 12, 13, I remember having a moment in my bedroom, asking the Lord to come in to my heart. But it just basically stopped there because I didn't have anybody to really guide the way for me or help me.
Yeah.
Of course, God did throughout my life throw people in my paths, just
He's faithful.
Absolutely. At the time I didn't know exactly, but I was very in tune with paying attention to that advice because I've had faith.
That's awesome.
My grandmother was Catholic. But anyway, she feared the Lord, and I just remember her dedication that she had. So I always admired that relationship that she had with them. But moving forward, didn't make too many of the right choices. Never felt,
none of us do.
Right. Never felt like I fit in anywhere. I always felt odd.
I can relate to that.
Wasn't a cliquey kind of person. And then the next thing you know, eventually I get married. I'm going to Al-Anon because I have married an alcoholic that came with more addictions with that as he grew into his alcoholism to becoming an addict myself. I feel that was a real turning point in my life.
Yeah.
So instead of running to God, I ran the other way.
You ran to that comfort to just try and
numb it all. I couldn't understand it. I was very angry at the situation. Fast forwarding, going through life, I just quickly but surely was growing into an addiction. Didn't start till I was like 26.
Okay.
And it's how the enemy kind of seeps in, and what he did, he got a hold of me, and it just snowballed, and it didn't quit. course, methamphetamines was my drug of choice. At first, everything, I got things done, and I felt like a superwoman because I was tired. I was worn out.
Yes.
Being a mom, and of course, I was a mom of, I do have 4 girls. They are amazing.
I'm sure they kept you busy though.
Yeah, and it was just us. I mean, my parents were there, but they weren't their responsibility.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hid that addiction from my parents up until I went into rehabilitation up here at Salvation Army. They knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
They couldn't really pinpoint it.
Yeah. And how long would you say that addiction lasted?
Over 20 years.
Okay. Wow. That's a long
Over
time
20 years.
to have that hidden
That
secret.
is a horrible way to live.
I'm sure it felt like you were living 2 lives.
I was.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But I something always just, and I'm gonna say, God just kept getting me up, brush yourself off. I mean, I still had that connection, although, and that I thought about this in Bible study last night. But I didn't know how. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know exactly why am I here?
Yeah. I'm gonna pause you for a second.
Okay, sure.
So last night in our Wednesday night Bible study, I normally teach the kiddos, but last night was my night off, so I got adult time.
Yes.
It was awesome, and we talked about that. How God is so faithful to hold you. We didn't necessarily put it in these words, but it's what I got out of it. He holds us our whole lives in His hands. And He doesn't let us go. Like, He doesn't let us just go off unless we absolutely positively choose to run after out of God's will, out away from Him, the total rebellion. Then, He'll let us go. He says He will. But when, I don't know, I mean, it's a mystery of God in a way. We can't know why some people He holds on to and others He lets go. But I do know, even if it doesn't seem like God's still holding on you, if you're watching this video, He's got you.
He does. He's got you.
He's got you, and He's not going to let you go, because He wants, there's good for your life. There's purpose. And
for I know the plans I have for you.
Yes. And anyway, that's what we talked about last night. How, like, throughout, so many people talked about how throughout their lives, God just protected them from things they didn't even know or whatever.
Well,
like moments.
It takes you looking back, and it's like, oh, it's like pieces of a puzzle are coming together, and you're like, wow, He did that for me. Right. But it's all a stepping stone, you know?
Absolutely.
So
anyway,
you're good. So I realized after some time that because I thought it was a moment of weakness. I'm not weak. I've got this. Not that I wanted to have complete control. I didn't think, but obviously, I did. Because I thought I had to have it all together before I walked into a church. Because of my past experiences that I have had in the churches. So it came to a point, there was two very remembering moments during my addiction. And one is I was in a really bad relationship, and I submerged myself into His Word. I got a hold of, I was listening to John Hagee at that time. And the person I had in the relationship, there was demonic, I'm just going to go ahead and say it was just demonic. And that was my only way of, God just told me, submerge, and I did, the good Lord ended up taking them. And I go to get a haircut because Mom's like, we got to get you, because I was just self-esteem, everything. I mean, you could just pick me up off the floor. I was exhausted. And I go to this beauty parlor, and the lady's cutting my hair. And next thing you know, she's like, I've been in your shoes before. And I think this is what helped me. And I'm like, she don't know how to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is going on right now?
Right.
And she was just talking, and she said, I ran across this lady that was who gave me this information about this lady, Kimberly Jones Pothier, and I think you would benefit from her. And that lady had the fire in her. Do you hear me? And I mean, next thing you know, I just submerged in that from anything I could.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a home, So I get cleaned up again. I've done this back and forth, get cleaned up again, and get this job at FedEx, 2014, November 3rd, 2014. I'm doing well.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, but
awesome.
it's been a journey.
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you, it has been a journey. And I thank God for that journey.
Amen.
So anyway, I go into work, I relapse. And I'm exhausted. I'm just truly exhausted. And I'm sitting there, it's quiet. And I'm down here like this, and I'm like, God, I just don't, why? And the next thing you know, Melissa, when I tell y'all, I look up, and out of nowhere, as I'm having a conversation with God, this man comes out of a building, and he's like, hi, how are you? I think it's time for a change. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? And I'm like, well, yeah. And he hands me a dog tag, and it had Joshua 3:9 on one, Psalms 23 on the other side. He said, these are my two favorite verses. And he hands it to me. He said, you can put it on your keychain or whatever, Now, and he has no idea the conversation I just had.
Right.
Yeah. I did. And I'm just trying to really process what just happened. And he's like, are you okay? Now, I just wanted to burst into tears, but I'm trying to keep it together, Well, this ended up being my senior manager. Now, he was coming towards me because he's been watching how I worked.
Yeah.
God said, look, you're he just brought him in right at the right time. I confided in this man, and he helped me through. He was a God-fearing man,
Awesome.
I guess God knew that I would listen to him.
Yeah.
God
whatever. Knows.
God he knows exactly what I needed. And that's what I needed, because when I tell you the journey I had at FedEx, it was a journey. And I left twice, came back twice, and the last time I did, I told my senior, I'm ready to come back. I said, I'm an addict. I've never, ever said that. And however long it was, because it always starts out with the, smoking weed, and then the next thing you know. So, I mean,
one thing leads to another.
Yeah, because it just rolls that way for whatever reason. And I told him, he said, really? And he came from alcoholic parents. So there was a reason why God, put us in each other's paths. So he said, well, how do you know you're at your rock bottom? I'm like, I don't know, because I have felt like I've been at my rock bottom. I mean, I was just honest with him.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, so I don't know. I'm just telling you, I need to get to work.
Yeah.
So we did it, and he's got back on, had to start, so used to do it. Yep. So used to doing that. But God always gave me the spirit not to give up.
That's good.
Brush yourself off. It's like more and move, just keep pushing forward, one foot in front of the other, So I relapsed again.
Mm.
And it was weird because every time I would relapse and I would go into work, God would just drop my senior right in my path. And I'm thinking,
Oh.
and I'm paranoid because of
Yeah.
what, the drug of choice that
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm fixing to lose my job. And, just
Yeah.
stupid, silly stuff. Because the enemy had every thought, every,
Absolutely.
and it was just chaotic, very chaotic. But I noticed once I went to rehabilitation, went back to work, I didn't see him as much. That's how I came up with that. But anyway, I mean, because you look back and you see, God
absolutely.
brings these things to light for you. But I remember I came into work and I'm like, God, there he is, and he's sitting at the computer and he looks back at me and he said, you all right? And I went and just cried, and he snatches me up. He said, come on, we're getting you some people help.
Mm.
So I hadn't been back at work that long, didn't really have the insurance for it.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine tell me, well, you can go up to Salvation Army. And I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
what does that entail? Because now I'm in those shoes and I'm thinking, I don't want to do this. I know I got to, but I don't want to,
Yeah.
Um,
takes a lot of courage and humility.
It takes a lot. You
to
got to
do
put
that.
all that because
to take that step.
I mean,
it's worth it.
Every bit of it. But it was a 6-month program, and I'm thinking, 6 months? You want to take 6 months of my life? No, ma'am, that ain't happening. My kids, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And she says, okay, Trisha, go in there a couple of months, and if you think you got it, then I didn't know nothing about rehab. I know a lot of my friends went, and none of them succeeded.
Yeah.
But I was very specific. I wanted a Christ-like rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Because in my heart of hearts, I knew that was the only way I was going to make it. It wasn't going to be a program. It wasn't going to be, AA. It wasn't going to be, Jesus Christ was going to be it. And God was going to make it either happen or not. I don't know what it is that you've got for me, but I know you have a purpose and it's your way, not mine.
Absolutely.
And I'm not doing well on time.
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
So I go into the rehabilitation. There just comes a time when things are so chaotic and you can't manage anything and your life's completely out of control. You need help. And that's where I was. So now I'm walking into this situation and not realizing, they're not serious about getting, sober. But I had to let go of those distractions. Okay, we're going to listen what they say. Because, when you're used to living your life the way you want to live it, and then you got somebody telling you
what to do
at the age of 46, these are the rules,
right.
It's about time to get some discipline in your life, I did that for 6 months. And the best thing that could have happened to me is being in that place when COVID hit. Because everything was locked down. I didn't know what was going on out here.
Yeah.
I did not. I had no idea. I saw what was on the news, but I don't always believe what's on the news,
Right. Right. You never know.
Right. You don't. I just know people couldn't come in and we couldn't go out. I mean, we weren't held prisoners.
Right.
If you want to go ahead and let the enemy distract you again with this COVID thing and walk out them doors, you just go right on ahead.
Right.
I mean, that was the thought process that I had. And we did lose a lot of people to that. I just know whether it's an addiction of it can be anything, you know.
Yeah.
Mine were drugs, there's alcohol, there's gambling, there's porn, there's eating, you know, people that splurge on money, you know, whatever it is
Yeah.
to fill the void that only God can fill, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, he can fill those voids.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I just thank God that I went through that program, because I was able to, for one, breathe, because life won't let you do that sometimes, especially when you're living in complete chaos and confusion all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I was able during COVID, thank God, because see, after 30 days, you can leave, you know? So every chance I got, I'm like, Mom, Dad, you got to pick me up, you know? Because of some of the surroundings I was in. Okay, well, toughen up, Buttercup. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
It's just,
I mean, I know COVID was so hard. I'm not minimizing
the
loss of life or anything, but I really believe that God allowed it
absolutely
for a purpose, for such an important thing, that things happen that we don't even know about yet during that
very
time.
profound.
Yes. That wouldn't have happened if the world hadn't stopped. But the world had to stop. So
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. It was odd. Yeah. So, you know, there's hope out there. You know, there is. If he did it for me, he can do it for you or anybody you know. I mean, there's nobody he's marking out. Yes, as long as you have a breath, you have a purpose, and God's got a plan for your life.
And I do want to clarify what I was saying earlier. I wasn't saying like that God would let you go, like let go.
Well, he lets certain things happen.
He will. Yeah. And if you choose to walk away enough, eventually he's going to
say enough is enough.
Well, he'll let you go. Like he let me go. I begged him for some stuff that he had told me no to, and I was pretty insistent, like, oh no, I want my way. And oof, that cost me. I mean, he let me walk down that path that he told me not to.
It's all
he told me not to, and it hurt, and some things happened in my life that I regret, but he let that happen. Like he let.
Well, I mean, that's how we grow. He says, okay, this is what you're going to need.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yes. Well,
here we go. If you want to do it that way, let's just do it. You know,
you want to learn the hard way, you're going to learn the hard way.
And that was me all through life too. And you know, biggest thing I think a lot of people can't do either is to let go of the past.
Absolutely.
That can hinder you in so many ways.
Forgiveness.
If you're looking back there, how on earth?
You're gonna fall on your face.
Yes.
literally fall on your face.
You're gonna be stuck. So, you know, I had to let go, because I mean, there was guilt. I was, you know, shame. How do I forgive myself?
Yes.
That was the biggest thing. And if I can't forgive myself, then how on earth? I mean, if he could forgive me, why? You know, and then how am I going to forgive anybody else if I can't forgive myself? You know, I'm so very grateful for the people in this church. Because when I first confessed, I came straight into here. This is, 5 years ago. I grew up down the street.
Yeah.
Literally down the street in Hillshire. So, and then I lived on the very end of the other side of the street in Bartlett.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, but I mean, and I graduated from Bartlett. So I passed this church all the time.
Same.
And something would always catch my eye. I always loved the little signs that they would put up and stuff like that. You know, I'm like, I would get excited, and because I would be hurting, needing some kind of encouragement.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I wonder what they got. You know, but you know, I came into this church. Chris was the youth minister at that time, and he probably, I mean, I did. I was just, whoa, you know, and he's probably looking at me like, what on earth is going on, you know? And Bobby, Scobie, you know, Barbara, they wrote me when I was in the Salvation Army.
Oh,
They
that's
didn't
so
know
good.
I was gone for a while and I couldn't reach out to anybody. So praising God for this little moment too. I'm looking down at my sheets because we had certain itineraries that we had to
Mhm.
do, and going to Cornerstone when I was at the program,
No.
you had to go to a church outside of
Oh, I love
Salvation.
that.
Yes,
And this is where you at the one that's right
right
down
here.
right around the corner.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So literally, y'all, it's like the next two. It's one light away.
Yeah. I mean, it's
just one light
literally
away from
I'm
here.
trying to think of where.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
you're right.
confused
You
about
did that
where.
right.
Woo!
It's right up the road. My sense of directions. But you know, I
I'm
had
okay with it.
Donna Parker. I mean,
We have some amazing
amazing
people here.
women. Mary Kane. You know, we had. I know Barbara and Helen Vickery. They had little get-togethers with the women, and they never judged. They just loved me.
Yeah.
Even after
that's so
knowing
good.
what was going on, and I never had.
Praise
That was my
God.
thing. I figured I was going to be judged. You
Yeah.
know,
So
that's
many people
why I kept
think
quiet
that.
for so long.
Mm.
You know, not only because of the shame, but the judgment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, gosh, what a blessing. I'm still, I mean, just I can't thank God enough. So, you know, every day I get up
Yes.
and I'm like, all right, God, it's just you and me. You know, you before me.
Love it.
You know,
That's so
help
good.
me to decrease as you increase,
Yes.
Father. And then I'm putting him on his armor of God.
Mhm.
You know, all right, let's get that armor of God on. I'm walking, you know, belt straight,
Love
and we're going through the
it.
motions.
Oh, I
and
love that, y'all. That's so good.
and then I'm singing to him when I'm out at work. I'm on my
I
little,
love that.
because I have to be there a little bit earlier and for setup and stuff. So I'm out on the tarmac and I'm just thanking him, and because I can't ever thank him enough, you know, because I thought I was never, ever going to have a life worth living.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't living.
Yeah.
I was surviving.
Oh,
and that's a horrible
it is.
way to live.
I was that way for a long time too.
So
and
thank
it is so
you,
hard.
Jesus.
Yes. Amen. And if you feel like you're just surviving today and you're watching this, just know that there's hope, and that if you keep seeking God, He's going to put the people you need in your path and the direction. He will provide, even if one of my favorite songs says that even if you don't see Him working, He's working. And I cling to that hope all the time. And I love that song. I sing it all the time. Because He is working, even if we don't see it. So be encouraged. Yes. Thank you for sharing your hope.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I love it. And thank you for listening.
You are loved.
Yes, you are. And we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.